Hi and welcome. This is the second episode of It Takes a Village's Moms on the Couch. This will be a weekly topical meeting just with our founders here to kind of discuss things that are going on or, just points of interest, things that moms need to know from the perspective of moms who are going through those very things at this exact time. So today we're going to be talking about our breastfeeding journeys. Each of us is at a different place in that journey, and we've all had very different experiences leading up to and at this exact point that we're in right now. So we're going to be kind of just going around in a circle, talking about our journeys, problems that we've had, challenges we've faced, ways that we've overcome them, and ways to make us stronger as a unit of mothers in our breastfeeding journeys. So I'm going to actually start us off. First, I'm going to be talking about my original breastfeeding goals. So I'm on my second child now. I did breastfeed some with my first. We had a lot of issues with getting a proper latch. And so they suggested that I use one of those nipple shields, which set us off on a horrible track of supplementation and then pumping issues. And so basically, to summarize, by the time I was 5 months along, I was exhausted and done, and I gave up. So this time around, I wanted it to be very different. I've had some different things that have allowed me to do better. I didn't go back to work this time, for one, so I didn't have to pump the same way. That didn't end up being one of my stressors. And so it's just made for a much different experience. So at this point, Maggie is 10 months old. As of today, this is Maggie. Hi, she says hi now, which is so cute. And so yeah, we're 10 months along. She's finally eating food. That's just within the last couple of weeks, so that was a long time coming. But yeah, we're doing really well, and that's where we are today. So Bree, why don't you go ahead and take us through your goals?
Hello. So I am a first-time mother and breastfeeder, obviously. My son is 8 months old. He turned 8 months on the 17th of this month. So just a little bit of like my background. Nobody in my family has breastfed. Nobody has tried to breastfeed. So this was going to be something that I knew I wouldn't necessarily not have my family's support, but I wouldn't have knowledge from them. So I was going into breastfeeding kind of blind, other than my research, and then of course talking to you guys, because thankfully I was a little bit behind. So I was able to talk to everybody with It Takes a Village to figure out, to set me up for success, really, because this is something that I knew from day one that I wanted to do, that I was excited to do, and that I really just wanted to do everything possible to make it work. So really my goal, I didn't start with a short goal. I was like, I need to make it at least a year, but I want to exceed that now. So yeah, my goal was really just to be able to breastfeed full time. I do work, so I would have to navigate through pumping and all of that, and it's gone really well. So yeah, really my goal was just to feed as long as he wants to feed. So yeah.
All right, Amanda, do you want to take us off with the next one?
Alrighty. So my name is Amanda Rhodes, and I'm the president of It Takes a Village. And I am definitely the farthest along of all of the breastfeeding mothers that I know currently. My daughter is almost 2.5, and she's still going. But originally, my sister did breastfeed, and I believe one of my sisters-in-law did as well. But I'd only ever really been around my sister with it, and my goal, I don't even know that I specifically thought of it as a goal, but just the plan was to go for a year. And wean at some point after that. And yes, yes. All right, there's a 2-year-old talking to me. But yeah, I was to, go for a year, wean at some point after that. And, but then I think everybody has like this, when it's their first one, especially, they have this like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. And then you get into it and you learn so much more about it. Like, if it works for you to stop at a year, hey, that's fine. But I literally had a friend 2 days after her birthday who was like, oh, you're still breastfeeding? Aren't you supposed to stop at a year? It's like, one, she's 2 days past her birthday, and two, you can, but you don't have to. So the goal is, when I'm all done with this, okay? So yeah, the goal is, I know I keep repeating myself, but I keep losing my track because of the 2-year-old. Make it a year, wean at some point after that, and I definitely have done that. Now we're just kind of going with the flow. So that is me, and I think it is now Sarah's turn.
Hey, hi, I'm Sarah. I'm the secretary, and I just had my 4th baby in June 20th, so she's 10 months old today, and she's currently trying to climb up the green slide. Anyway, so she was my 4th, and I had tried to nurse all of my last 3 kids. My first I didn't, just because it was a pretty traumatic birth and experience. So by the time he came, and I was just so tired, and I couldn't even do anything. There was a lot of other like personal and emotional things going on for me. So I didn't even attempt with the first one. So when I had my second daughter, I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, I want to exclusively breastfeed. I have a great relationship, a great support system. My husband's family was very pro breastfeeding, and his sister's a doula. So I was really determined, and that didn't work out. We ended up having to supplement. And I didn't really know the reasons why, but I found out later, way later, that she had an undiagnosed lip and tongue tie, which caused some of the latching issues. And then like with my third, the second I tried to breastfeed Richard, he had medical issues, and I wasn't able to nurse him as long. And we went till about 4 months supplementing like the whole time. So that was pretty sad for me. And then when I had Franny, I was like, I'm going to do this. I have all the support. I'm going to do this. And that didn't happen either. She also had a lip tie, and the lactation consultants at the hospital would not even check for it. They pretty much dismissed me and said that some breastfeeding is just not for some people, and I was one of those people. And I'm like, boy, with those odds, I should play the lottery, because really only 3% of people, I think, can not biologically like breastfeed because of issues. And I just didn't accept that answer. So thankfully, my chiropractor was able to help me more than a lactation consultant did. And she had suggested I get her checked out for a lip tie, and I did. And I went to a pediatric dentist, and Fran got her lip tie fixed at like 5 weeks. And unfortunately, I did find out that I actually have low supply due to low glandular tissue. So I've had to supplement this entire time. She still does nurse. I would say about 40 to 50% of her calories are like directly from me, which is really nice, because I really feel like every drop counts, because I've worked really, really hard for that 40 to 50%. But we've had to supplement like with formula and lots of donor milk. I mean, I have amazing people like Bree that oversupply, and then, share with Franny, so she's healthy and happy. And there's a lot of like, I've tried every single thing to make it work. And I really feel women's pain when they're like, my baby's not getting full, or do I have low supply? And everyone's like, eat some oatmeal. Sometimes that just doesn't work. So I've tried everything, and even different things to feed Franny to simulate breastfeeding, like a supplemental nursing system. Still will use that if she's not using a bottle, So I definitely have had an extremely difficult journey. And as far as goals go, I really just wanted to exclusively breastfeed. But, you know, I'm not able to, and I'm just rolling with it. And, you know, every drop counts to me. And for me, it's more about like that bond and the nurturing and that closeness. So, you know, I definitely feel people's pain when they really, really, really want to do something and their body just doesn't come through, you know? So my goal was to exclusively breastfeed, but that's not happening.
Yeah, and that's something, you know, what I found is you have to give yourself a certain measure of grace, you know, like you can do what you can, but when it comes down to it, you can only work with the information that you have and
Mm-hmm.
the people that you have access to, and then what your body will do with the tools that you have. So we're getting better, and that's the reason that we've built this tribe, this village, is so that we can help women like Sarah, or you know, women like Bree who've got all this extra stuff but had other problems in the beginning, babies with reflux, things like that. Like weird stuff happens, and you never know what set of cards you're going to get dealt. So that kind of takes us into our next topic, which would be things that we perceived would most likely be challenges for us. Which for me, one of the biggest things that I was concerned about was nutrition. I am very delicately balanced as far as nutrition goes. And if I stray from my gravy train, so to speak, for even a couple of days, I'll start having really bad anxiety, mood swings, bouts of uncontrollable anger, and it's directly related to my diet. And I saw it with my son. I was so depleted from pregnancy and then the breastfeeding that I attempted that I just had so much trouble coming back from that. So I knew that that was very likely to be a challenge this time around too. So obviously keeping a good diet during pregnancy was really important to me, but then also figuring out how to keep a good diet when I was going to have 2 children at home, which Sarah's got the 4. I don't know how she does it. With 2, I was like, I'm scrambling here just to get my 3 meals in a day, and then the various snacks that I need to keep my body going. Oh, and then forget about water. Like, does that even exist? I would love to drink some. So that was one of the biggest challenges that I perceived. And then also, you just never know. So I was a little bit anxious for whether or not breastfeeding would be something that came naturally to me this time, because last time there were just so many issues in the beginning. So I was really concerned. I was really worried. I was anxious about that. Pregnancy, I was like, man, I got this. Birth, yeah, no trouble. But I knew breastfeeding was going to be tough. And that definitely was true for things that actually ended up being challenges for me. The nutrition, that definitely was one. I can go more into that later if anybody's interested. Just like a lot of digestive issues that made me try some weird things with my diet that ended up doing exactly what I was trying to avoid, putting me into a state of depletion that turned me into a crazy person who couldn't remember anything. And then one of the other big challenges that I ended up facing, I don't know if Maggie has a lip or a tongue tie. She may, but we didn't have the best latch, I guess, because about 3 weeks along, latching became so painful that like I would just start like sobbing every time she had to latch. And it wasn't that I was sad, because I know that there are some women who, instead of like a release of endorphins whenever baby latches, it kind of goes the opposite direction. I don't think that was it. Like I was in physical pain. I feel like Sarah wants to say something there. Her camera's muted, or microphone. My bad.
I said, I was waving to Franny. Franny turned around and looked right at me and was like, hi, Franny. Sorry.
You're good. Just checking. Where was I? I've gotten lost. Help me out, mamas.
Painful latch.
Painful latch. Thank you. So yes, the latch was so painful, and it basically, I just had to work through it because I wasn't leaving my house. I decided to do a stay in postpartum for 6 weeks where I wouldn't leave unless it was absolutely necessary, like doctor's appointments, tornadoes. I did leave for a tornado like day 3, go to my mom's house who has a basement. And so yeah, I just wasn't leaving for extra things. So it was like, okay, I'm just gonna power through this. Which, granted, I never did quite get to the cracked and bleeding stage, but I mean, like, they were a very angry, scary red and like scabby, and I mean, it was harsh. So that was my biggest actual challenge in the beginning. And since then, since I didn't have to use the nipple shield this time, really it hasn't been that bad. I say we got lucky, and I would say that that's probably just the case. The hand I was dealt this time was much more easy to bear than the one I was dealt with last time. So Bree, you want to tell us about your perceived challenges and then the things that you actually have faced up to this point?
Yeah, so I think maybe typical, maybe not, maybe I worry too much, but when pregnant, I knew like I said, I knew I really wanted to breastfeed. And like when I do something, I feel like I am all in, like either you do it or you don't. And so I guess like one of my challenges that I thought that I would face is honestly just not even being able to produce, because I feel like there's a lot of bad bad information or misleading information. Like a lot of women say like, oh, I just couldn't do it, like I wouldn't make milk. And like 9 out of 10 women that I talk to say like their body just didn't produce. And like Sarah was saying, like it's really only around like 3%. So why 9 out of 10 people that I talk to are you not producing? So that was something scary for me. And then also I decided to join like the worldwide mom group on Facebook for everybody that was pregnant in August. I won't do that next time around, and I've already deleted myself, but there was a lot of moms on there saying like, oh, like we're all due in August, so all around the same time, you know. They were saying like, oh, I'm leaking, like I'm gonna go ahead and catch this and put it in the freezer, blah blah blah. And I was sitting over here like, I haven't leaked at all. Like, does this mean I'm not producing? Like, what? Like, am I not going to be able to breastfeed? I was like generally concerned that I wouldn't produce because they were leaking and I wasn't. And I didn't know at the time. So of course I messaged you guys and you let me in on the little secret that that's not the case. And then another thing that I was worried about is I work full time. So I was worried about being able to manage working and pumping. So I'm a hairdresser, so I don't get scheduled breaks. Like I break whenever my person's processing, or so I don't get anything scheduled. So I was worried that was going to mess up my pumping. So I guess those were the two things that I was worried about. And the problems that I actually ended up having, I feel like I definitely, I don't know if you call it luck, but well, I'm an overproducer, like Sarah said, or at least I was. So that's not lucky. Overproducing, nobody tells you that it can be a bigger problem than not producing. Like they weigh the same. Like I didn't really know there'd be problems with overproducing. So to start off in the hospital, I actually was an emotional wreck, like just surrounding breastfeeding. Like my labor and everything was amazing. Like I couldn't ask for anything better. But the first lactation consultant that I had, she actually told me that she didn't know if I'd be able to breastfeed because I wasn't producing. She said that it looked like I didn't have enough to feed. So of course, I'm like, oh wow, my biggest fear happening. Like the first person that told me, and she tried to get him to latch for over an hour, and I was just crying. Like I was like, just stop. Like he's not hungry, he's not latching, we're not doing this. So then I had 2 other lactation consultants come in and be like, oh my gosh, you produce so much. Like this is going to be so good for you. And I'm like, wait, what? The other lactation consultant just told me the complete opposite. So what's going on? Like, so I was that person that at every single feed, I had that lactation consultant come in there because I wanted to be set up for the most success that I could have leaving the hospital. I wanted to know everything that I could know from the professional. Luckily, I ended up getting a lactation consultant that knew what she was doing. And she came in every 2 hours and helped me feed because he wasn't wanting to latch because he was so tired. So anyways, fast forward, Drayden was diagnosed with a level 4 lip tie. And we went and seen a specialist, and I did my own research, and after talking to some people, we actually decided not to get it cut, because at this point he was not having any problems latching. The only problems that we had was I was extremely sore. So I couldn't even let the water in the shower hit my chest until about 4 months postpartum. I was in a lot of pain, but I was so dedicated and like so stuck on like I have to do this, that I pushed through. And now I have 0 soreness. So I'm really glad I did that. And we kind of weighed out, and if you get it cut, that's, you get your own, you can do whatever you want. We just decided we weren't going to go ahead and do it, and it worked out fine for us. Everyone's story is different, of course. Another problem that I dealt with is mastitis. I had a little smidgen case of that where I had to go to the outpatient clinic and get some medicine for that, because I don't like, I guess I was overusing, so I wasn't able to get out as much milk as I could. I actually remember one time being in the so hurting that I was hand expressing one side and I had to hack on the other side, just trying to get some relief because I was so full and in so much pain. So that was an issue that I had dealt with. And then the lip tie, Drayden had really bad reflex, so I dealt with that. I had doctors wanting me to go to ultrasounds, and I think what it boiled down to is I thought it was reflex, but then we finally started giving him bottles when I went back to work, and my letdown was just so fast and so powerful that it would come out too much and he'd get it too fast, causing him to spit it all up before he could get it all down. Because when he had the bottles, he never spit up. It was only when he was feeding from me. So that was another problem, is just a whole bunch of spit up. Like, it wasn't a problem, it was just annoying, so to say, from him spitting up. Like, so, we pushed through that, and now that his mouth is bigger, his stomach's bigger, we don't see any more throw up. So that was another thing that I just, let time work itself out, and it all worked out for me. So, and breastfeeding and pumping has not been an issue for me, thankfully. For work, we've been doing that just fine. So yeah, those are my struggles that I didn't even think were going to be a struggle until it actually happened. And thankfully, I had mothers that have been through it or have known someone that have been through it, like you guys, that were able to help me with my oversupply that was causing my issues.
All right, Amanda, your turn.
Okay, so it's been a while now. I don't really remember having any specific things that I was worried about. I'd done some research and whatever, and knew some things to look out for and all of that, but I don't remember having any specific things that I was concerned ahead of time would be a problem. Now, I ended up laboring for a really long time, pushing for a really long time, and then ending up with a C-section. And something that is fairly common with C-sections is a delay of lactation onset or lactating onset. So for a variety of reasons. So I didn't have any problems with her latching or anything, but around, I think, day 3 or day 4, it was like the 24 hours, like surrounding the time that we went home, she was like ready for milk, and she wanted milk, and I didn't quite yet have milk, and so she was quite upset because she wasn't, like, I guess, getting enough that she wanted. And I remember, I think either the first or second night home, I was the mom crying at 2 a.m. with nobody to call, because my baby was screaming, wanting milk, but would latch and wouldn't stay latched and wasn't happy. And I'm the one sitting there crying, going, I don't know what the hell is wrong. And my husband's standing there not knowing what to do because, he never even babysat. He never even changed a diaper before Lily was born. So, he had no idea what to do. But then, like, the next day, I never had they were like, oh yeah, you're going to wake up one morning and you're going to have watermelons on your chest. I never had that. But, like, the next day she did suddenly start to be happy at breastfeeding. So that was good. And I didn't have, other than that, I didn't ever have any problems with breastfeeding. She didn't have problem latching. She didn't ever bite, really. In fact, like, for myself, a lot of the things that other people would talk about, like, oh, I get so engorged, or I can feel let down, or I'm leaking on one side. Like, I never had any of those things. Couldn't ever feel let down, never felt engorged. I mean, there would be a couple times if it had been a long time since she needed, then I'd be like, oh wow, I think I'm really full. But that was it. And the thing that I didn't have to go back to work, so I didn't have to pump very much, so I never built a relationship. That's something that I don't tell you ahead of time. And pumping is a great thing to be able to do in order to be when you're not there. However, I believe it is one of the causes of the amount of pain. Because if all you're doing is feeding your baby's happy, you're not worrying about how much you're producing because your baby's happy. When you're pumping and you can measure it and you can see, oh, I didn't pump as much today as I did yesterday, what's wrong? But bodies respond differently to pumps. And if you are going to be someone who's going to have to pump, you have to there's all these different factors that go into pumping that are completely different than straight breastfeeding. And that's something that I would like us to be able to put together some better education out there for moms, where when different things happen with pumping versus breastfeeding, they know not to worry because the body should respond so differently to it. So yeah, I think we've definitely had a lucky breastfeeding journey. I've never really had any, never really had any issues. I think we might have one time looked up. Definitely never had to deal with mastitis, which I was very happy about. But hang on. And I think that's all I've got right now. And my attention is being demanded by the back seat, so I'm going to toss this on over to Sarah.
So, like I said before, I was completely unfamiliar with breastfeeding with, my second child, and I didn't think I'd have any challenges because I read all the books and I never tried it before, and I was just thought it was going to be easy breezy, and it totally wasn't. So after, the issues I had with Mary, I kind of anticipated that happening, with every kid. And finally, with the third breastfeeding child, fourth baby actually, I had the right support, and I had people that were like, hey, this actually isn't normal, so let's help you fix it, and let's move past this. And I had the encouragement and just more knowledge, I just didn't know. All I knew was what the books told me and what the lactation consultants told me. And so yeah, I mean, we've just, any challenge that a breastfeeding person can have, I've had it, and I've kind of gotten through it and just kind of have my own little peace and grace. As Alyssa said before, you just kind of give yourself some grace and keep persevering and keep moving on. The lip tie was definitely an issue with all of the kids. I don't know if it's a genetic thing or what, but Franny's was pretty bad. She couldn't close her little mouth. So once we got that released, she was a lot more comfortable, and I was actually having like blood blisters on my nipples, like for the first, I remember I messaged Amanda and I was like, is this normal? She's like, no, it's not. She's like, that's not normal. So once I went to the chiropractor and she had adjusted Franny and kind of clued me in like, hey, she probably has a lip tie because of this, this, and this. And then, you know, we went further and, you know, she was able to latch and stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, the thing with challenges are you just have to educate yourself and seek support so you can keep going. Like, don't let challenges derail you. If it's something that you really, really want to do, just keep searching for answers. And if someone's not giving you, like, if someone's basically just telling you to give up on something that you're really adamant about, please talk to someone else. Because I have been told so many times, formula's just fine. The baby, I didn't breastfeed and y'all are fine, blah, blah. That's great. And I agree. Yes. But I want to do this for me. Like, I want to do this for my children. I want my body to do this. So please support me in that decision. You know, don't let anyone minimize your goals, or if you have challenges, don't let them just let you give up. You know, just, if it's something you really want to do, we'll find a way. It may not be exactly how you pictured it, but you know what? That's life. You just got to roll with it. So seek out, you know, seek out answers.
Right. So now we're just gonna kind of talk about where we are now in our breastfeeding journeys. If we have thoughts on weaning, what those thoughts might be. And I'm gonna be real honest. So we're 10 months in. I want to wean. I do. I had wanted originally to make it a year, and I might still try to do that. I don't know, but it's been really tough here lately. Maggie, she sleeps with us. We co-sleep. You can feel however you want about that. I don't care. She's alive. So she's getting bigger. She rolls constantly, but also it's like if she knows that there is a breast near her, she feels that it needs to be in her mouth. And so I don't get to sleep. Like, it was Saturday. Yeah, I didn't get off the couch until 2:30 because I hadn't slept the night before. And she decided she wanted to take a 2.5 hour long nap. I'm like, cool, I'm gonna hold you the whole time, baby, because I haven't slept. And I'm exhausted. And maybe weaning won't end up being the answer. And you never know until you get there, but she's eating food now. And I'm like, okay, let's teach you how to use a cup, baby. Let's do that like yesterday. And yeah, I'm just tired. I want to wean. I want to be done. I want to have some measure of ownership over my own body again. That's one of the challenging things. Like, I have a husband. He likes me, he wants to do things with me. And at the end of the day, I'm like, no, I have given everything I have to this beautiful tiny baby who now says hi, and it's the cutest thing ever. And that's all I want to do for the day. That's all I've got. So sorry, no. And I know it's frustrating for him. It's frustrating for me. And that's not the only reason. Mostly I'm just tired. And so I don't know how much further we'll make it, but I don't see myself going much past a year, if I even make it to a year at this point. And my original goal was to make it 1 year. So that's me. I hope you guys have nice things to say today. Bree, take it away.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, I was thinking goal-wise about a year, but breastfeeding has exceeded my expectations. I'm one of those people that will bawl when the day comes that he doesn't want to eat anymore. I love everything about it. Even with the struggles that we had now, we don't really face much. I forgot to mention earlier, Drayden does have a favorite boob. So my right side is definitely a lot bigger than my left because he primarily eats from my right side, which is okay. Like, you really can feed from one breast. You're just going to look a little lopsided. But anyways, so I really don't see when we will be done. I'm one of those people that's definitely going to let him decide. Unfortunately, kind of, he is crazy. So he's 8 months now. He doesn't like to sit still. He's one of those people that won't sit there and nurse and just nurse. Like, he's constantly like coming on and off, like playing around. So I feel like our journey will probably end when he no longer wants to sit to eat. So hopefully, I don't know what that looks like. Like I said, I will definitely cry the day it ends because I love it. I just love everything about it. The bond, and he is a milky baby though. Like, he's still up about every 3 hours at night nursing, and he's 8 months. And that's something that I've constantly asked you guys. Like, is it normal? Like, a lot of my friends' babies were sleeping through the night, and he is still up about every 3 to 5-ish hours now, actually, but just starting like this month. So maybe what it'll look like for us is maybe just nursing at night, like as like a calming thing, eventually when that comes. But like I said, I'll cry when it does happen. So yeah, over here, no plans for weaning. I'm gonna let him do whatever he wants to do.
Okay. So I don't have any specific plans in mind for when to nurse. It's one of those things that, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, aren't you supposed to stop at a year or whatever? It's like, it doesn't suddenly become unhealthy. There's a meme, you know, I've seen with like I think Sarah shared it recently with a piece of broccoli. It's like, this doesn't suddenly become unhealthy at any specific age. The composition of breast milk actually changes through the toddler years. Like, based on the age of the nursling, there's a different composition of fat and protein and carbohydrates in the milk that meets the specific nutritional need of the child. And you also are continuing to extend your like your antibodies and your immune system to the nursling as long as they are continuing to nurse at least part-time. But and like, actually, we're sitting here nursing right now. I have a feeling it'll be sometime within the next 12 months. Just because we don't have a culture where children regularly breastfeed till 4 or 5 years old, and I don't want a 4 or 5 year old who's still breastfeeding. But I think that just from seeing the children around her not, you know, breastfeeding as much, that it will just fade naturally for her. I will be sad when it does, because I haven't had some of the various issues. I haven't had energy struggles or anything like that. I was very, very hungry at the beginning all the time. I was at my pre-pregnancy weight at 6 weeks because she just nursed nonstop. Which, hey, that was fine. I was planning to try to get back to pre-pregnancy weight when she was like 2 years old. So I'm like, okay, I don't have to do that. That's fine by me. But and also just with the various health concerns of the current time and all of that, like, well, I wouldn't, at whatever point that we wean, I'm not going to force the issue in the middle of flu season, whenever it is, because that's you know, a time that she would be more likely to get sick anyway. And if I continue to share my antibodies with her, then she'll stay healthier. So at whatever point it is, it'll probably be sometime, you know, spring to fall or something. But she can go all day without it, but then she definitely makes up for it at night when she hasn't been with me all day. So it's just more comfortable to see her throughout the day. And I don't know, she did baby sign language, so she could sign pretty early on that she wanted milk. And so sometimes now she'll walk up to me and she'll get this big grin on her face and she'll go. And it's really cute. So yeah, I think probably sometime in the next, yeah, milk. She's signing at me right now. I'd say probably sometime in the next year. But we'll see. I know in Western cultures, there's the idea that you need to have your baby independent to be away from you and all of this stuff. But it really comes down to the mother-child pair. Like if a mom needs for her health and sanity and everything to be done at 6 months, then she needs to be done at 6 months. If she needs to be done at a year, she needs to be done at a year. If she needs to be done at 10 months and 2 days, then she needs to be done at 10 months and 2 days. It's, you, from a physical standpoint and nutritional standpoint, you are continuing to support the child as long as you nurse. However, if the whole situation isn't overall positive, then it's not like you don't want to start resenting your baby because you need to nurse. And that is a problem for a lot of women. And so, as long as it is an overall positive experience for everyone. So, and now, Sarah.
So like I said, this has not been the easiest thing. So I've worked really, really hard to get where we're at. And honestly, like I never had to wean the kids, because I have low supply. I just kind of stopped producing and they were kind of like over it, because it just dwindled and dwindled until nothing. So it was never really anything that was like this huge traumatic thing. And, with Fran, like I said, we've worked really hard. So I'm just kind of letting her lead me, and I know eventually it's just going to go down to nothing. And that's going to be that, it makes me sad. Hopefully if we're called to have another child, hopefully the next one, it'll be a little bit better, but I don't know. But yeah, I don't really have any plans right now. She loves that, like she loves it. She sleeps with us at night and it helps her go to sleep. It helps her nap. And, to be honest, with having so many kids, it's like, this is my time to just relax and sit and really do nothing. So I enjoy nursing her whenever we can, so I have zero plans to stop anytime soon. It's just what my body will allow me to do and what works for her.
Well, there you have it. 4 very different experiences, all at different places in our journeys. And only one of us plans to be done soon. I'm not surprised by that. Oh, well, all I can say really at this point is we want to hear your stories too. We want to hear what you're going through. We want to hear what we can help you with. We want to hear your triumphs and your travels. That's what we're here for. Any of you other moms have any closing remarks that you'd like to make?
Hopefully we figure out how to post this correctly.
The tree
I just want to make note again of, if anybody hasn't seen, we did launch the breastfeeding hotline. So I think that's important. Like I said before, like reach out. There's never going to be a silly question. You just reach out and get help. Like, don't just stop and because one little thing arises. If you really want to do it, reach out. Just like I said in the hospital, I did not feed my son once without a lactation consultant there. That's their job. So you want to get your journey started out on the right foot. So just ask questions. Don't be afraid. And if you I personally love talking breastfeeding. I know there's other moms that do. So if you don't want to reach out to a professional, so to say, just reach out to one of your friends. That's all I had to say.
Sarah, anything from you?
Yeah, just basically reiterating what Bree said, don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. We all have had completely different experiences, and we all have a lot of firsthand knowledge of things that could go wrong, things that go right. just really, really reach out if you need help, and don't let anyone minimize your feelings or your goals, because how you feel and what you want to do is really, really important, and it will affect you. So reach out, get the help that you need, and do it. Don't give up.
Don't be afraid to ask for a second opinion if you are unsatisfied with the first answer you were given. And if you're unsatisfied with the second answer, ask for a third. Unfortunately, as we've stated at previous times during this video, there is still a lot of bad information, mistraining, old, outdated information that's still being passed around. One of the biggest things that we've seen is, you know, a lot of times pediatricians, which are the first people that we go to for help with our children generally, maybe second to our mom, they aren't given very much training on breastfeeding, sadly. They know that it's natural, they know that it's supposed to happen, but they aren't very good generally at helping you troubleshoot. And if they can't hook you up with a good lactation consultant, there's always the La Leche League. They are usually pretty helpful. There is a good book, The Womanly Breastfeeding. I found a lot of good answers there, unfortunately, after they would be helpful to me in my journey. But, you know, it helped me see that, hey, maybe it wasn't me. Maybe it was the way that I approached the situation. And it's never too late to try again. So, all right, I guess that's all we have for you guys today. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week.